So, the Dragon Ball FighterZ beta has officially ended, and now that my heart is lying on the floor in 1,000 pieces, let's talk about some of my final thoughts on the game, shall we? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Lotus Core, the kid who never knows best, and in today's video I want to talk to you about some of my final thoughts on the Dragon Ball FighterZ closed beta. Now, there are a ton of things that I want to talk about and mention when it comes to this game, but first and foremost, I just want to let you know that I had an amazing time. I had so much fun, and I literally just don't know what to do now, what games to play, or just what to do with my life, because nothing else is as entertaining or as fun as that beta was. Like, I just have no interest and no desire to do anything else but play that game some more, and I just can't. There's no way for me to play this game until the open beta in January, and then wait for the official launch of the game in February of 2018, bro. 2018. Hold on. Do you understand how far away that is? Do you understand? That's 5 months, bro. That is 5 months. I don't know if my heart can take all this stress. I just don't know if I can wait that long. But I don't really have a choice, do I? So, with that said, let's get into some of my thoughts, shall we? So overall, what was the experience like? Well, fortunately for me, I had a pretty decent connection the entire time. I'm on the East Coast, I don't know how much of a factor that played into it, and I'm on the PlayStation 4. Now, if you're one of those poor unfortunate souls who owns an Xbox One, I heard y'all was having a hell of a lot of problems over there. I heard y'all ain't really get to play the game too tough, and that sucks, but hey, I can't relate. Just want to say that if you got an Xbox One, I just don't know what to tell you other than the fact that you probably should have bought a PlayStation. I don't know, man. It sucks to suck, but hey. But in all seriousness, man, that really does suck for all you guys over there on Xbox for getting screwed over the way you did. But hey, that's what these beta tests are for. You know, test out the servers and the netcode, fine-tune things, tweak things, observe, and all that. So that's what this is for. You gotta bear in mind that if your experience with this game was bad, if you thought the online was bad or the servers didn't go the way you wanted or anything like that, you gotta remember that this game doesn't come out for another 5 months. It's still in development. It's nowhere near completion. There's a lot left to be worked on, and that is why this closed beta existed. Now, fortunately for me, I had nothing but a pleasant experience the entire time. I mean, there were obviously some times where I had some lag or got disconnected from like maybe 2 or 3 matches, but that's throughout the entirety of the beta. And honestly, this was a much smoother and much more fun experience than, say, Xenoverse 2 back when that beta happened. Now, don't get me wrong, I had an amazing time back then. I thought Xenoverse 2 was the greatest Dragon Ball game ever made, but now I'm kind of feeling like Dragon Ball FighterZ might be the greatest game ever made, and this isn't even halfway done yet. I mean, when I was playing Xenoverse 2, that game was pretty much done. I think that closed beta and the open beta were both only like 2 weeks before the game was finished and released. This is 5 months before the game is out, and I don't think I've had this much fun with a Dragon Ball game ever. I mean, I think this surpasses Xenoverse 2 for me. I mean, graphically, soundtrack wise, experience wise, because that's one thing that I will say, like I said again, not everyone had the same experience that I did, but the netcode, the servers, everything was just so smooth. I rarely went over, say, like 5 or so frames of delay. If you never noticed, if you look above the timer in the middle, you know, at the top of the screen when you're in a fight, it says delay, and then it has a number, and then it says FR, and that is essentially telling you how many frames of delay there are in the game, you know, letting you know about how good the connection is. So if it's a low number, that's good. If it's a high number, that's bad. Like I said, for me, it never really went over maybe 5 or 6. I had a few games where it kind of creeped towards 10, and even maybe 1 or 2 where it was like, I don't know, 14, 15, which is pretty bad. But for the most part, and I mean like maybe 90% of my matches, it was a very low delay, and so I had a great time. And when it comes to a game like Xenoverse 2, there's a lot of lag, a lot of disconnections, a lot of frame issues, and I just don't have that with FighterZ. Now, the reason why I want to give so much praise to FighterZ is because when the Xenoverse 2 beta happened, we had a lot of glitches, bugs, errors, and that's to be expected with a beta. But the thing is, that game was set to be released in like two weeks from the time that beta was. If I remember correct, it was like 2 or 3 weeks before that game was actually going to be released. Whereas this game has 5 months left before it is released. So any of the issues, the small little issues that I did have plenty of time to be worked out, and this game can only get better in that time. And I don't want to make this a Dragon Ball FighterZ versus Xenoverse 2 video, although I may actually do that, but those are just some of my thoughts, and I feel that comparing this to Xenoverse 2 is a good idea and gives you in a right frame of mind, because I feel like a lot of you guys probably have experience with that game as well, can relate to it, have played it, and you might have even been in that beta yourself, whether it was the closed or open beta. I was in both, so I got to experience a lot of it. Now, when it comes to the actual gameplay of this game, to me, it kind of feels like a dumbed down version of Guilty Gear, but like I said before in my first FighterZ reaction video, you know, my first impression of the game, I mean that in the best way possible. Now, it's not to say that this is a brain dead game, although at first glance it might kind of feel that way, because it does remind me a lot of the stylish mode in Guilty Gear, which I'll talk more about in a second. But I feel like this is a game that is made by people who usually cater to the FGC, but understand that their main demographic, at least at launch, is going to be a player base that is usually easily more casual than anything else, and they've made this game pretty accessible to those people. I feel like this is a perfect blend of you know, the FGC and the casual fan base from the anime side of things, and that they'll be able to both find fun and depth in this game. You know, if you're somebody who just wants to stick to the regular combo strings and just want to play the story mode, things like that, you'll be able to have fun with that. But if you're somebody who's a little more hardcore of a fighter, you've been in the FGC for a while, you've played Blaze Blue, Guilty Gear, you know, Marvel vs. Capcom, or even if you're somewhere from like the NRS scene or the Tekken scene or something like that, like I feel like anybody from the FGC or the anime side, the casual side, can come together and have fun with this game, and you'll be able to find depth into it if you want to take it to that level. There will definitely be a skill gap, but it will be more accessible to people than a game like Tekken or, you know, Guilty Gear or Marvel vs. Capcom would be. Now, to me, I think that's a great thing. I personally had a lot of fun with it, and I know a lot of my friends who aren't really big on fighting games like that also had a lot of fun with that. And I also saw many people who are more well known in the FGC who take their fighting games a little more seriously were also really enjoying it. I saw that my homie Rhymestyle actually ran a few matches with Perfect Legend, who, if you don't know who that is, he's somebody from the NRS scene, you know, Mortal Kombat and Justice, and he's a pro player. You know, he's been to EVO, he's competed in all these top events and made top 8s and won some world championships, and so he's got his own list of accolades and achievements. So he's a pretty respected person, and as well as, you know, people like Maximilian Dude and Hell Pockets, and there's a large roster of people from the FGC who have some clout to their name that were having fun with this game. #bars. So yeah, I feel like that there's fun to be had no matter if you're somebody who just likes this game because it's Dragon Ball and you like anime, or if you're somebody who wants the latest and greatest in the fresh fighting game. I think you will be able to have some fun with this. Personally, I feel like I'm more of a casual player, although I do intend to change that with this game. I mean, I grew up playing Tekken, Mortal Kombat, and I do have my own history in fighting games, but I've never been like what you would call a hardcore player. I'm definitely by no means a pro player, and I wouldn't call myself an expert in these games, but I have enjoyed fighting games pretty much my entire life, and they've always been the games that I like the most. I'm not into shooters. I don't really play too many racers. Sports games really aren't my thing. I've played Madden. I kind of like 2K, although I feel like 2K has been trash for the last several years. But fighting games has always been where my heart lies, where I feel most at home, whether it be anime fighters or the more serious fighters, and this is a blend of both of those. So like, it really just doesn't get any better than that for me. So with Dragon Ball FighterZ, I do intend to take fighting games more seriously. You know, learn the more in-depth mechanics, get better at this, learn better combos, and just take my game to a whole other level. And you know, in the event that I can become somebody with, you know, a little bit of skill in this, maybe y'all see me on that stage on EVO in them grand finals. And listen, you know, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying, you know, it might happen, it might not, who knows, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, FighterZ is a really cool game, and I definitely want to take it seriously if it's going to be one of those games that gets taken really seriously. And we've already seen it at EVO, even though it's incomplete, so there's no doubt in my mind that we'll see it on the stage again next year. And if it blows up the way that I think it's going to be one of the biggest events next year at EVO. And if that's the case, I want to be there, I want to be on that stage, and I want to take home first place if, you know, it happens. So let's get it cracking, homie. Yeah. One more thing I want to talk about is the roster and you know, just how balanced I think each character was and how they played. Personally, my 3 favorite characters that I was playing with were Android 18, Trunks, and Gohan, although towards the end I kind of switched out Gohan for Piccolo, and I seem to be doing really well with him. But I tested out everyone to an extent, although I definitely spent the most time with Android 18 and Future Trunks. But I feel like every character is playable. There's obviously a difference between somebody like Krillin and somebody like Goku, but you can pretty much play as any character, and if you learn your stuff, you learn your combos, you learn your strings, whatever, you can pretty much play as anyone and have fun and do well. I would say that Krillin was probably the weakest link out of everyone that we got to play in this beta, but I mean, we probably don't even have half the characters that are going to be in this game eventually. Like I said, my guess is probably somewhere around 30 characters by the time we have the full roster for this game. In this beta, I think we had access to about 11. We already know that Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta are going to be in it. We also just got the announcement for Tien and Yamcha, and so we're going to have a pretty decent roster in this game. I feel like every character was done pretty well. I mean, I don't really feel like anyone needs to be touched at all. No needs to be adjusted, boosted, or nerfed, except for maybe 16. I feel like that level 3 super, that instant kill, is just a tiny bit of a problem, but maybe I'll talk about that in another video. But I do think the fact that his ultimate is his super is a grab, like an actual grab, whereas Trunks' heat dome isn't, is kind of bullshit, but hey, that's neither here nor there, you know. But yeah, for the most part, I feel like this game is pretty well balanced, and that you can have fun with all of your favorite characters, no matter if they're that strong in the show or not, because every character plays differently. They all have different combos, different strings. But all in all, I had a ton of fun with this game. Definitely expect more Dragon Ball FighterZ content on the channel. I've got plenty of more footage that I have saved up, because I mean, I stockpiled every fight that I did on this game during the beta, so I got plenty of stuff to work with. So more videos will be coming, and definitely when the open beta happens, you know, I'm all over that, every second of it. And when the game officially launches in February, you know that I'll be bringing tons of content and just playing the game with every free second of my time that I have. So look forward to that. But yeah, I think that about wraps it up. So hit this video with a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already. So you can stay tuned for all the awesome content when I bring you. And with all that being said, it's been 5 today. And remember, nothing can happen until you swing the bat. Later.